I'm suspicious of my wife and my friend's behavior. I want to check her phone. Am I the asshole here? My wife, 30 female, and I, 32 male, just returned from a long weekend camping trip with two other couples, friends we've known for years. We had a great time, but something happened the morning we left that I can't shake. We were all packing up, getting ready to head back home. I was loading our car when I looked up and saw my wife and my friend. They were at the campsite, several feet away. She was bent over to pick something up, and in that split second, I saw him reach out and squeeze her hip, sliding his hand down to her ass. My wife quickly pushed his hand away, but she didn't look upset. She was smiling at him, almost playfully. It all happened so fast, maybe a second or two, but it felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I glanced around, but no one else seemed to have seen it. His wife was busy packing up their car, and the other couple was further away chatting about the ride back. The drive home was quiet. My wife tried making conversation, but I couldn't focus. My mind kept replaying that scene over and over. When she asked why I was so quiet, I lied and said that I was just thinking about work. But the truth is, I was in shock. I didn't want to bring it up. If I mentioned it, she might tell me that I was imagining things, that I was being ridiculous. The rest of the day, I felt like I was just moving on autopilot. I barely slept last night and can hardly focus at work today. My mind keeps racing, questioning every detail. Aside from what I saw, the rest of the trip was great and nothing seemed out of place. A part of me is wondering if I read the whole situation wrong, but the look on her face, that smile, it was too friendly, too casual for something that crossed a line like that. I love my wife to death. We've been together since freshman year of college, and I've never had any reason to doubt her. She is my best friend. But now, for the first time, there's this knot in my gut that I can't untangle. I've never been the type to snoop. I've always trusted her completely. But right now, I'm sitting here, wondering if I should check her phone. It's password protected, so even if I wanted to, I don't know how I'd do that without her finding out. This is eating me up, and I know I need to do something about it. Would I be the asshole here if I go through her phone? And even if I wanted to, how can I if it's password protected? 509 Rhyme Animal says, "You don't do a thing right now. You play it cool for a couple of days. You just confirmed your spouse is cheating, and there's a whole lot of emotion running wild. Take a couple of days to process, then start moving money, securing assets, gathering proof of funds, proof of the affair, and contact a divorce attorney. When the papers are drawn, break the news. This is assuming that you want to end the relationship. Even if you don't want to end it, give yourself some time to process." Enough Pack 7468 says, "This, take screenshots with your phone so you don't have to delete anything from the iPad and alert her so that you have proof. It must have been devastating to read those messages. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. You deserve better. This is not your fault." Key Duck Eye says, "When you know, you know. Don't try to talk yourself out of it. I'm sorry for the pain that you're about to experience, but it is necessary. Do not be a sucker, sir. Best of luck to you." Ugly126 says, "Completely agree. I was working on a roof and had to sit down. Was like someone had punched me in the gut. Couldn't shake the feeling of something wasn't right with what my wife had told me. Fast forward 2 years, and we are separated, and I found out that she had been cheating on me for the last 3 years. If you know, you know. As hard as it is, you don't deserve to be treated like shit. Sucks to start with, but life gets better." Honestly, couldn't agree more with what everyone else has said here. I do think that it's time to just start packing things up and leaving her. I believe you. I believe that you saw what you saw, and that is an unforgivable thing. Yes, you do need to find more evidence, but I guess that's just for the divorce. You deserve better, and I hope that you get better, OP. And now, onto the update. I found her iPad. It didn't have a password, so I got in, and it is still connected to her phone. She has Telegram on it. They've been chatting on there. I'm still going through the messages, but she is cheating. I'm not falling apart yet. I'm trying to keep it together to make the correct next move without effing this up. What do? Do I confront her when she gets home? Do I go to his house and confront him? Please help. Update 2. Thank you all for your advice. I didn't tell her anything. I have locked myself up in my home office under the pretense of needing to catch up on work. She is not suspicious. I kept the iPad with me. She hasn't used it in so long, she won't even know that it's missing. I took pictures of all of their messages using my phone as a safety measure as well. They've been chatting for at least 8 months as far as I can tell. Telegram is their main communication channel, it seems. They've sent each other nudes, sex messages, and making plans on making their relationship official after leaving me and his wife. I can't believe that she would do this to me. From the messages, I saw she had sent him a sexy, suggestive photo of herself on her way to the gym earlier this evening, and when she got back home, she started kissing me and wanting sex. I declined, saying that I needed to get work done. I'm confused right now and unable to think clearly, so I will follow the advice that I am offered here. Lawyer up and gather evidence. I will work on those. I also saw several comments advising me to separate my finances from hers. We co-own the apartment that we live in and have joint bank accounts. My parents died in a car crash 2 years ago and left me a large inheritance, which she knows about. She does not have access to the money in that fund. Is there anything that I need to do to protect myself if it comes to that point? We don't have kids yet. Update 3. I work from home sometimes and didn't have any meetings this morning, so I spent it researching and calling lawyers. I have 2 consultations lined up for tomorrow, but the majority couldn't book me in until next week. I will tell his wife and show her proof as soon as I settle on a lawyer and get myself covered first. Once she's been informed, I'll give her time to get her affairs in order and secure a lawyer if that's what she wants to do before I decide what to do next, such as confronting my wife. I don't understand how I'm feeling. I'm not angry for some reason. More numb, maybe. Sick and nauseous when I think of the messages I've read, especially the sex messages. I just feel like I'm just doing the things that I need to be doing right now, but it's almost like I'm living somebody else's life. I don't know how long I can keep up the poker face without her noticing that something is up. Thank you for your messages and support. Update 4. Guys, I am humbled by all the messages and advice I received. Not much has happened since yesterday. Just keeping myself busy with work in the gym. The anniversary of my parents' passing is coming up in about a month, and she obviously knows this. So when she asked why I seemed off, I just told her that I was thinking about them. I have consultations with several lawyers lined up, most next week, a few this afternoon. I will update after I settle on a lawyer and know what my options are. Update 5. I found a hell of a lawyer who managed to draft my divorce papers within days, which were filed this morning. I'm in a no-fault jurisdiction, which meant all the evidence of the infidelity which I had gathered can't be used in court. The good news is that my inheritance is safe because I didn't use the money for marital expenses. Our condo was a wedding gift bought by both our parents. Each side contributed 50% to the down payment, so one of us will have to buy the other out or we both sell it. I called the OBS on Saturday and asked to meet her for coffee. I chose that day because ironically, her husband and my wife had gone on an overnight trip together. I found out from their messages on the iPad. The lies they were going with were, my wife was staying at her sister's for the weekend to help with the kids while her sister's husband was away on a business trip and her husband was going away for a work-related project. The truth was, my wife and the husband were taking a trip out of town together and were staying at a hotel, all paid for by the Casanova himself. I showed her their messages on the Telegram app, pictures included, all of it. She told me she noticed him feeling distant and withdrawn a few months ago. She thought that it was just work stress and had no reason to suspect he was cheating. Finding out that her husband was in fact cheating, and with my wife, who is also her friend, came as a blow to me. We chatted some more, and I gave her my lawyer's number as she considers her options. On Sunday night, my wife returned from her sister's house. She walked through the door and greeted me with kisses, saying that she missed me after she had spent the weekend with her lover. Her ability to compartmentalize is almost diabolical. I sat her down and told her that we needed to talk. I had the whole conversation recorded without her knowledge, following my lawyer's advice, as I live in a one-party consent state, and here is how it went. I asked her to promise to be honest with me. Of course, baby. But she was nervous. Then I asked her a series of questions. Do you love me? Yes. Are you happy with me? Yes, of course, baby. Have I been a good husband to you? Do I treat you right? Yes and yes. What the hell is going on? Please humor me. Okay. Have I ever done anything to hurt you, whether physically or emotionally? No, of course not. What the hell? Okay. So if you're happy with me, then why are you cheating on me? She stared at me in shock for a good minute and then immediately started denying it. This went on for a little while, and then I just told her to drop the act because I found out the truth. Eventually, she broke down and admitted to kissing a guy who had been hitting on her at a bar during a night out with her girlfriend a few months ago. I don't know why, but at this point, I started laughing because the whole thing was just absurd. She not only cheated on me, she had taken every opportunity she could find to cheat on me. I asked her if that was the only time she cheated. She swore up and down that it was the only time, and that it was a moment of weakness, that she was drunk, and it had meant nothing. I said nothing. I gave her my lawyer's business card and said I filed for divorce. I hadn't yet. I wanted to talk to her just once first to see if there was anything left of our marriage to salvage, and that if she wanted to reach me, she should call my lawyer. She cried, begged, apologized, and then started packing a suitcase. She shifted to gaslighting me, saying that I was throwing away everything we had over a mistake. And the worst part of what she said was that I had no one else in the world. Why would I leave the only family I had left? This stung because I told her she was my only remaining family after my parents died, and there was no one else that I could depend on, only for her to throw those very words back in my face. I left that night to a hotel where I'm staying until I find a new apartment. Yesterday, I officially filed for divorce. Edit. My responses to some of the comments. I didn't tell her that I knew about the affair after she said she kissed some random guy at the bar. She ended up finding out from him. The OBS confronted him and called her up as well and gave her shit. The OBS was really upset when I told her and couldn't keep it in. I don't blame her. He really did her dirty. Her mum is sick, and she's been going out of town a lot to be with her, and instead of supporting her, he had been using that time to get with my wife. I didn't, because I was blindsided by her telling me that she kissed a random guy at a bar. It may sound insignificant compared to the double life that she's been leading with my friend, but in that moment, I think I started realizing how badly she wanted to cheat on me, and it came as a shock. I was too angry to say anything to her without blowing up in her face. So I just left. It's hard to explain why. It just made more sense to leave than to try to find out why she'd been sleeping with my friend after I heard that from her. When I left the house, she kept calling me that night and leaving me messages. When the OBS called her the next day and also confronted her husband, she stopped trying to reach me. It's been crickets from her since, and him too. I put two and two together because around the time the OBS messaged to tell me she confronted him and called her, I stopped getting calls from my wife. Sesame Scout says, the most satisfying actionable steps. Thank you for respecting yourself, OP. More people need to read and learn what to do from this post. Top Ad 7154 says, OP, I have a feeling your life is going to get better from here. You are ridding yourself of toxicity and disloyalty. You deserve better, you are worth more, and I hope it all goes well for you. I hope your ex steps barefoot in a plug every day for the rest of her sad, miserable life. And now, onto the updates. Some updates from the last time I posted. My wife was served the divorce papers last week. I'm still at the hotel and close to finding a new apartment. Last week when I left, I forgot to take the iPad with me. I picked it up when I went back a couple of days later to grab clothes and other stuff. Apparently my wife had a fallout with her friend who was with her at the bar, accusing her of being the one who told me about her kiss with that hot guy. Her friend is no longer speaking with her, it seems. After everything went down, his wife threw him out, and he's been staying at his sister's place. She and I have been talking, she found a lawyer, and is filing for divorce. She has informed our few common friends about what's been going on, and they've all cut off contact with them. Also, the asshole came by my place and spent the night with my wife twice last week. She's also been messaging her sister, who it turns out knew about the affair. My wife found a lawyer apparently, and was complaining to her sister that her lawyer explained the asset division and confirmed she has no claim on my inheritance and that she thought that that was unfair. And now, here is the gut punch. All those conversations about finding an apartment together and becoming official have significantly cooled since my wife's visit to her lawyer, which I found odd. A few days ago, I got a message from her asking if we could put a pause on the divorce proceedings. She said she loves me, thinks that we're being crazy about this, and that everyone deserves a second chance. She even hit me with "I can't live without you" bullshit. If I didn't have the iPad, I might have thought that she was genuinely remorseful. But knowing what she's been up to all week, I knew this only came out after she realized she won't be entitled to a cent of my inheritance. Honestly, that effing hurts. I am following my lawyer's advice, who told me not to respond. The more I think about it, the more I'm disgusted by her, my friend, and her sister. The fact that her change of heart seems to stem entirely from her discovery that she won't touch my inheritance is beyond disturbing. I always intended to use that money for a trust fund if we had kids, something I told her countless times. I didn't touch it because it reminded me of the trauma of losing my parents, the level of disrespect she has shown not only me, but also now my parents, who loved her and treated her like a daughter. I'm just glad that they're not here to see this. I met up with his wife over the weekend. She's my friend too, and she's been going through a rough time, especially with her mum's health issues on top of this whole mess. I told her about the messages. Long story short, she had been reconsidering the divorce after her husband tried to reconcile with her. But once I showed her the messages about my inheritance and pointed out how their messages have cooled, she saw things differently. She also shared something that struck me. Apparently, a few months after my parents passed, her husband had made a comment about how I was a lucky son of a bitch for inheriting their money. She confronted him then, shocked that he would call me lucky after losing them, and he backtracked, claiming he didn't mean it that way. At the time, she brushed it off, but now she's second-guessing his motives. It seems far-fetched, but it's starting to sound like she thought she would get her sum after divorcing me and starting a new life with him. Either way, their behavior is despicable. I've been trying to look after myself. I started therapy, I've been going to the gym almost obsessively, and trying to stay away from alcohol. I'm trying so hard to put on a strong exterior. Some of my friends have said that it's a little scary how cold I've been, but it's the only way I can go about my day-to-day without losing my mind. The nights are very rough. I struggle with sleep. I sometimes drink to help me through it. I'm not proud, and sometimes I cry myself to sleep. Edit: I won't be posting any further updates in the near future, unless something unexpected happens or in need of support, which I would use a different sub for. I will only post another update once the divorce has been finalized, which won't be for months. Thank you for all of the advice and support. Actual Offer 127 says, he might have gone after your wife only because of the money too. I find it suspicious that your wife learns that she can't touch the inheritance, and now a fair partner is wanting to reconcile with his wife. Could be unrelated though. And OP replies, I don't know if that's why they started the affair, but his wife and I both think that's why he came crawling back to her, and the same reason that she won't reconcile with him. Accomplished Mud 1658 says, OP, make an emergency testament in case you pass away or if someone tries to do something. Oh, but she would never... Man, I worked at court. I am very cynical. I saw a lot of spouses like you getting shot after lottery and inheritance. And OP says, thanks for your comment. My lawyer handled all of that when I showed them the messages. I can't speak to the details, but my bases are covered. Kirby Blows says, mad that despite being given all opportunities to confess, she still hasn't confessed to the actual full-blown affair with her friend. Surely she must know that OP knows about it. Unremorseful piece of shit. Foolish Pleasure 99 says, yeah, she knows. Affair partner's wife kicked him out because of the affair, and that's when OP's soon-to-be ex initially stopped reaching out, until she realized she wasn't touching the inheritance. And I agree with that. I hope she steps on Lego pieces for the rest of her sad and miserable life. As I'm always going to say, you deserve better, and I'm glad that you are getting better now, OP. And yeah, you did do everything right in this situation. I don't think there is anything you could have done better. I hope that people do learn from your experiences as to how to combat situations like this without making the situation worse for themselves. And as well, protecting themselves from retaliation from their partners by going to their lawyers. Your lawyer is going to have the right answer for you in every situation. Or at least, I hope they would, Better Call Saul and whatnot. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I very much appreciate it. And I'd love to know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Our next post is by user PackInner9364, and it's titled, When Meeting the Parents Goes From Awkward to Straight Up Terrifying. So last weekend, I went over to my boyfriend's place for dinner with his parents. I was kind of nervous already because, I knew they were, well, not exactly the warmest people. But I thought I could just push through, it's dinner. How bad could it be? Anyway, so we're sitting there and things actually seemed okay at first. His mum was asking me about my work and stuff, and it was going fine. Or so I thought. But then his dad starts in with all these intense questions, like asking about my family, my past relationships, even my thoughts on, life plans? He kept saying stuff like, we just need to know if you're serious, which honestly felt kind of a lot. I get being curious, but he seemed almost aggressive. And then it happened. He looked right at me, and out of nowhere he says, I'm at my limit, and you'll see what happens. I could barely breathe. I literally froze. It wasn't just the words, okay, that was bad enough, but the way he said it, he meant it, there was no joking in his eyes at all. After that, I just kind of excused myself, I think I should get home early, and left as fast as I could without being totally rude. Now I'm here, still replaying it in my head. I don't even know how to feel. Am I overreacting? But, who even says that? Old Soul 1783 says, what did his dad's last comment even mean? OK Historian replies, I'm wondering the same thing. Was he talking about hitting his food limits, or was he actually speaking about the conversation with OP? Ghost Pepper Firestorm says, a woman was frustrating him by not being submissive enough, and he was warning her that he was about to lose control of his emotions and either yell or worse. As someone who lived with men like this, it's a pretty common way to keep women in line. Say something to your boyfriend like, your father's behavior fills me with great concern. Is everything okay with your home life? If he says that everything is fine and that this is normal, I would tap out now. This is not a family that I'd want to be mingled with. If his dad's behavior feels off, trust your instincts. If your boyfriend brushes it off, that's a red flag. You deserve to feel safe and respected, especially with family. I agree. I don't think that that was acceptable behavior by the father, and if the son thinks that that behavior is okay, I don't think you should be with someone like that. I can only imagine that that behavior escalates into full-on abuse, cutting you off from your support systems, blaming you for everything, blaming you for not being submissive enough, not being like his mother, not being a good woman. There are so many things that could happen. It's early days in the relationship. You're better off cutting your losses and running. I swear to God, do not waste your time with this man. But if he's willing to hear you out and change his ways, do waste your time with this man, because then it won't be a waste of time. If he recognizes that his family is wrong and bad and changes accordingly and potentially even cuts them out of your lives, stay with him. Absolutely. And now, onto the update. So my boyfriend just had a huge fight with his dad. He told him to break up with me because I would not be good enough for him. When he asked him why, his simple answer was, I did not raise my child to end up with a stupid waiter who votes for Kamala Harris. Now it makes kind of sense to me. When we entered the house and his mom opened the door, she asked me how I feel. I was joking that I'm kind of disappointed that Kamala Harris wasn't elected for president, and she must have told him. Honestly, we're both kind of speechless right now. The good thing though, he's totally on my side and apologized 1,000 times for his dad. We decided to go out and try to have a good time, not thinking about it until we figure out what to do about this. But it scares me, just imagining what will happen next. When we get married, his dad will probably not be very happy. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.